The Consumer Product Safety Commission recalled around 400 items last year. Have you checked your child's room to make sure that you don't have any of them? One of the biggest concerns is toys made with lead-based paint. More than 80% of the toys we buy our kids come from other countries that have little or no lead laws. Tonight, we're looking into why some of the so-called solutions to this problem are leaving parents upset in this Fact Finder report on toxic toys. This cute little one-year-old loves to teeter around the house and pick up her favorite toys.
Gabriel being 13 months, she uses her mouth to kind of explore, and so the lead in toys is very concerning.
Jill Weath and her husband are both in the medical field. They keep a close eye on toys that have been recalled.
It's very concerning, especially with my husband and I. We try to ensure the safety of our children at all times, and this is such an issue that is so large of an issue that we feel like we don't really have any control over it.
When he goes to the parade, he goes and he runs and he whips his clothes and what is under there.
So how can parents rest assured that Superman and other toys are safe?
And then if find a building.
One thing some parents have tried are these home lead testing kits. We tested 3 of the Weath's toys, and as you can see, there's no red mark. That means the toys don't have lead paint in them, right? Experts say wrong. These home lead testing kits aren't accurate.
Our scientists have looked at the home lead test kits time and time again. Every time we find that they are unreliable. They can either give you a false sense of security or they can scare you unnecessarily.
I contacted the Consumer Product Safety Commission to get some answers on what parents like Jill are supposed to do to ensure their kids' safety.
The best thing for a parent to do is to keep track of CPSC recalls of toys. And they can do that a really easy way. Log on to our website, cpsc.gov, and sign up to receive our email announcements for our recalls directly to your inbox.
Patty, I have young children, and I did look at that recommendation. I did look at the website, and I feel like it would be almost impossible to keep track of all the recalls because there are so many of them.
The CPSC, simply put, does not have the staff to be able to test every single toy that comes into the United States. It's just not realistic. That responsibility lies with the companies that sell those products in the U.S.
And this is 13 pages, and I've begun to highlight, just for my own use here, the things that have lead, and that's only the first page. And I don't have time to look at all this stuff, and I can't imagine a parent having time to do this.
Roberta Burns treats kids with lead poisoning who are tested at the Peoria City County Health Department. She says it's more common than people realize.
On the phone, I ask them, well, is your home older? Take a look at your windows.
About 1 in 10 of children tested have a level of lead poisoning that we're concerned about. Wow. That's been coming down over the last few years, but it's still way too high.
Homes built before 1978 with lead-based paint are the #1 cause of lead poisoning in kids. But even a tiny amount of lead in a toy can cause loss of intelligence, changes in behavior, and attention issues.
Spider-Man blower bubble. And you put bubbles back there and you just...
Jill isn't taking any chances. She's doing her best to keep track of the recalls and having both of her kids tested for lead poisoning, just in case. In Peoria, Jen Christensen, HOI 19 News. Toy manufacturers are required by law to make sure their toys do not contain lead-based paint. If they break that law, they can face civil penalties. Now, at this point, no manufacturers have been fined. I asked the Consumer Product Safety Commission why, and the response was they haven't been fined yet, but stay tuned. I was so frustrated by this information that we started calling companies that have XRF machines, the same machines the CPSC uses to screen its toys. I found one in Chicago who is willing to send someone down to our area to test our toys. If you have a few of your child's toys that you'd like to have tested, the Kids Count Toy Test, it's tomorrow from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. at Ridgeview Elementary School in Peoria. You can sign up at hoinews.com to reserve a spot.
HOI-19 is helping parents keep their kids safe by hosting a toy testing event. It's going on right now at Ridgeview Elementary School in Peoria. Jen Christensen set up the event after finding out there's still no guarantee the toys our kids are playing with don't contain lead paint. Jen is standing by at the toy test. So Jen, what are the results so far?
Well, we've tested about 25 toys so far, and this one is the only one that is tested positive. It does have trace amounts of lead, but it is high in cadmium, which is another heavy metal, so this toy is going in the trash. The Consumer Product Safety Commission recalled about 400 items last year. Some of them were these Thomas the Tank Engine toys for possibly containing lead-based paint. Earlier this week, we tested these same toys using a home lead testing kit to see if any of them would come back positive. What we found is that they all tested negative using this home testing kit. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says that that's because the home lead testing kits aren't accurate. So I brought these same toys with me here today, and I tested them using this machine. It's an XRF machine. It is the same machine that the Consumer Product Safety Commission uses to screen its toys. Every single one of these Thomas the Tank Engine toys came back negative. What that means is that there is no lead paint in these toys. So how can this happen? This is confusing for parents, right? Well, basically, if the Consumer Product Safety Commission tests Scarloey and it comes back as positive, they recall all of the Scarloeys. So mine was in a batch that did not use lead-based paint, but that doesn't mean that yours at home is safe. And that's why it's important to come out to our toy test tonight. It lasts until 6:30, and again, it's at Ridgeview Elementary School here in Peoria. Bring your toys with you and be prepared because some of them have tested positive. Tim?
Now, what's going to happen with the toys that test positive? I heard you say you're going to throw one of them away. Will they all be thrown away?
Well, that's basically up to the parents. The Consumer Product Safety Commission uses the XRF machine, and when their toys test positive, they go on to further testing and basically destroy the toys, put them in acid to find out how much lead is actually in them. So for the consumer, as a parent, I would toss the toy. If it's a family heirloom that you really want to keep, then go ahead and keep it, but just put it on a high shelf and keep it out of the reach of children.
All right, thanks, Jen.
We have some surprising results tonight from the HOI-19 Kids Count toy test. We tested around 75 toys using an XRF machine, the same machine the Consumer Product Safety Commission uses to screen its toys. Here are the results. 14 toys were questionable. 2 wooden flutes had 8 times the legal limit of lead. 1 necklace had very high lead levels, and 1 yellow stacking block exceeded the limit for the heavy metal cadmium. The other 10 toys came back with low levels of lead, mercury, and cadmium, which still isn't optimal, but they did not exceed the federal limits. Local mom Lisa Schwartz has 2 kids who loved playing on those wooden flutes.
I bought them overseas on a trip to Guatemala, and just as basically souvenirs for my children. I'm glad I brought them in, but I'm shocked because they've used them. I mean, repeatedly.
ZACK DISMUKES drove down from Oxford Instruments in Chicago to test our toys today. He says what we found is typical, and that really leaves parents in a bind. But he does have one tip.
If you're somewhere where you know that the toy is not a brand name and it has paint on it, it's probably safe to stay away from, especially if the children are going to, some kind of musical instrument or something that they're going to have possibly in their mouths.
If you think you have a toy with lead-based paint on it and you missed today's toy test, the Consumer Product Safety Commission recommends you sign up to receive its recalls directly to your inbox at cpsc.gov. The Peoria City County Health Department recommends all kids get tested for lead poisoning at 1 year old. No level of lead is safe, but if the exposure is caught early, there are fewer side effects. It can take years to get lead out of a child's system, and sometimes the lead cannot be removed.